Welcome to Conspiracist.
Great to be diving into another topic.
Today, we're looking into something really fascinating, this whole idea that maybe governments have been hiding evidence of secret bases down in Antarctica.
Yeah, it's a big one. Lots of layers to it.
We're going to try and unpack the claims, look at the reasoning, really evaluate the information that's out there, and we'll keep it strictly professional, objective, no jumping to conclusions either way.
Sounds good. Antarctica itself, it's always had this mystique, hasn't it? For ages, it was just this blank space on the map, Terra Australis Incognita.
The great unknown southern land.
Exactly. Even when exploration picked up globally, Antarctica stayed remote. So hard to get to, so hard to survive there. Think about Captain Cook hitting that ice barrier back in the 1770s.
Right. Just couldn't get through. It really emphasizes how cut off it was.
Totally. And that feeling, that isolation, kind of carries into the 20th century, even with the heroic age of exploration.
Ah, yes, Scott. Amundsen, Shackleton.
Names everyone knows. Pushing the limits down there. Incredible stories. But there were others, too, like the Germans. Their first big expedition was 1901 to 1903 with Drygalski on the Gauss. There's even a crew photo floating around.
So German interest goes back quite a way.
It does. And that earlier presence kind of sets the stage for what comes later, specifically the 1938-39 German expedition. That was Captain Richer on the Schwabenland.
Okay, and what was the official reason for that one, just before the war kicked off?
Officially, securing whale oil supplies. Germany wanted to be self-sufficient, but they did a lot of surveying, too.
And this is where New Swabia comes in, Neuschwabenland.
Exactly. They mapped and named this whole region. There's that famous image, isn't there? The German seaplane flying past the ship.
Yeah, I've seen that. So a real historical event, a German claim mapping. You can see how that becomes a seed for other ideas later on.
Precisely. It provides a factual anchor, however small, for the much bigger theories that follow.
So geographically, what was this New Swabia like?
Well, based on their surveys, it started as this ice-covered sort of foreland from the coast, rising up into higher ground, the richer upland, Hellaslope.
And further inland?
Further south, you get these exposed rock peaks sticking out of the ice nunataks and even proper mountain ranges, some named after famous explorers like Amundsen and Wegener. So it wasn't just a vague claim. They mapped a specific area.
Right, a defined piece of Antarctic territory.
And it's really against this backdrop, this documented German activity in the late 30s, that the Nazi secret base theory starts to form.
Okay, so what's the core claim there?
The basic idea is that Nazi Germany didn't just explore, they built a secret military base. And some versions of the theory say this base continued or was even established after World War II ended.
After the war, how would that work?
Well, that's where it gets more speculative. You hear theories about U-boats, maybe advanced U-boats, reaching hidden subterranean realms under the ice. Names like Agartha or Asgard sometimes pop up.
Subterranean realms accessed by U-boats. Now, looking at what we know about German U-boats from that era, the technology, the range, surviving under ice.
It stretches credibility, doesn't it? You see discussions online, people pointing out the sheer implausibility, talk of a special Führer's A-class flotilla.
Yeah.
It sounds more like fiction than feasible engineering for the time.
Yeah, the logistical hurdles seem immense.
And then there's another layer, the supposed links between the Nazi regime and certain esoteric groups, like the Vril Society or the Thule Society.
Right. Those groups often get mentioned in connection with fringe ideas about hidden technologies or lost lands.
Exactly. The theory suggests these societies believed in or were searching for advanced tech and maybe secret locations, and this somehow fed into the idea of an Antarctic base. It adds a kind of, pseudo-ideological layer to it.
Which then connects to the claims about Nazi flying saucers, UFOs developed in secret.
That's often part of the narrative, yes. That the Germans developed advanced flying discs, maybe based on Vril or Thule Society ideas, and operated them from Antarctica.
And some versions get pretty wild, suggesting these craft fought Allied forces or are still active somehow. I think I saw a video title somewhere claiming Nazi UFOs beat the U.S. Navy.
Yeah, the claims escalate quickly. It moves far beyond documented history into pure speculation.
And part of that speculation involves high-ranking Nazis escaping after the war.
That's a common thread. Instead of being captured or facing trial, the idea is they used these advanced craft, maybe something called the Vril 7, to flee to Antarctica.
And took refuge in these supposed secret bases built earlier.
That's the theory. Hidden bunkers, underground complexes, a final refuge.
Okay, so you have this backdrop of alleged secret Nazi activity. Then, right after the war, 1946-47, the U.S. launches Operation High Jump, a massive naval expedition to Antarctica.
Huge. Led by Admiral Cruzen, big task forces, multiple ships, aircraft.
Yeah.
The Eastern Group under Captain Dufek, the Western Group under Captain Bond, a major undertaking.
Officially, what were they doing down there?
The stated goals involve things like training personnel in extreme cold, testing equipment, consolidating U.S. claims, mapping. Standard polar expedition stuff, just on a very large scale.
But given the timing and the scale and these circulating rumors about Nazi bases...
The conspiracy theory reinterprets high jump completely. It wasn't exploration or training. It was a military operation.
To do what?
Yeah.
Find and destroy the Nazi base.
That's the claim. That high jump was actually a battle, a fight against leftover Nazis or maybe even aliens allied with them, operating out of this secret Antarctic base.
And this theory often includes claims of heavy U.S. losses, ships sunk, planes shot down.
Yes, dramatic accounts of fierce resistance and U.S. forces being repelled or suffering significant casualties at the hands of unknown enemies with superior technology.
Okay, but what do the actual, official records say about losses during high jump?
The records show some tragic accidents, yes, but not a battle. Most notably, a Martin PBM Mariner aircraft, call sign George 1, crashed during a storm on Thurston Island.
Resulting in fatalities.
Sadly, yes. 3 crew members died in the crash. Ensign Maxwell Lopez and 2 others. The rest were rescued after about 2 weeks. There was also another death during the operation, a sailor named Vance Woodall. These are the documented losses.
So, real losses, but from accidents and the harsh environment, not from combat with secret Nazi flying saucers.
That's what the official records indicate. There's a big gap between documented accidents and claims of a full-scale secret war.
What about Admiral Byrd? He was involved in high jump, wasn't he? Sometimes you hear quotes attributed to him about threats coming from the polar regions.
He was a key figure, yes. And he did make comments after the expedition about the strategic importance of the poles in an age of air power. He warned that the next war could see attacks coming over the poles.
Ah, so warning about the potential for attack via the polar regions because planes could fly that far now.
Exactly. It seems his warnings were about the shrinking globe due to aviation technology, making polar routes viable for attack from established adversaries like the Soviet Union at the time. But those comments are sometimes taken out of context and twisted to mean he was warning specifically about enemies based in Antarctica.
Right. Context is everything there. Okay, let's shift to physical evidence. People point to satellite images, things on Google Earth, pyramids in Antarctica,
Yeah.
dome shapes.
Ah, yes, the satellite anomalies. These images do circulate quite a bit. You see these features that look, well, geometric, unnatural, some might say.
Like that supposed pyramid.
Right. There's a particularly famous mountain peak in the Ellsworth Mountains that, from certain angles, looks remarkably pyramid-shaped. Geologists, however, are quite clear. It's a natural rock formation, a nunatak shaped by erosion. Perfectly natural, just striking.
So a trick of perspective in geology, not an ancient alien structure. What about other things? Domes, entrances?
Often, these turn out to be misinterpretations of natural ice features. Eroded icebergs can take on incredibly strange forms, sometimes looking like crashed ships or buildings. There was one photo that went viral. People claimed it was an alien base, but it was just a weirdly shaped iceberg.
Okay. And sometimes even animal remains can be confusing.
In the dry valleys, yeah. It's so cold and dry that things barely decay. A seal skeleton, for instance, can lie exposed for centuries, maybe millennia, and look quite alien if you don't know what you're looking at.
It's also true that there are abandoned structures in Antarctica, right? Old research stations.
Absolutely. Research stations get abandoned for all sorts of reasons. Funding runs out, technology gets outdated, logistical challenges become too great, political situations change. Think about old whaling stations, too, like Grytviken on South Georgia. It's now a ghost town, basically.
So finding an abandoned structure isn't automatically proof of some hidden military conspiracy.
Not at all. It's actually a pretty normal part of Antarctic history. But, you also have genuine scientific mysteries down there, like the Wilkes-Land gravity anomaly.
What's that?
It's a huge gravitational anomaly detected under the ice sheet in Wilkes-Land. Scientists think it's likely a massive impact freighter, maybe from an asteroid bigger than the one that wiped out the dinosaurs.
Wow. Okay, so a real mystery, but with a probable scientific explanation.
Likely, yes.
Yeah.
But because it's hidden under miles of ice and hard to study directly, these kinds of real anomalies can easily get swept up into the conspiracy narratives. They add to the general sense of, we don't know everything that's down there.
Which fuels speculation about aliens, UFOs.
Precisely. The remoteness and the unknowns made it fertile ground for all kinds of theories, including extraterrestrial ones.
Now, amidst all this, there's the Antarctic Treaty System, established in 1959. What's the significance of that?
It's hugely significant. It essentially set Antarctica aside as a continent dedicated to peace and science. Military activity is banned. Nuclear testing is banned. New territorial claims are frozen.
Sounds like the opposite of secret military bases.
You'd think so. It promotes international scientific cooperation. Many countries operate research stations there, often collaborating on projects. It's held up as a pretty successful example of international governance.
But how do the conspiracy theories incorporate the treaty?
They often argue the treaty is actually part of the cover-up, that its real purpose isn't peace and science, but to keep people out, to prevent the discovery of the secrets, the Nazi bases, the alien tech, whatever.
So the very mechanism designed for openness is painted as a tool of concealment.
Exactly. It's a way of twisting the facts to fit the narrative. It dismisses the genuine international cooperation you see, like the joint naval patrols Argentina and Chile conduct down there for safety and confidence building.
Though, are there any geopolitical tensions or activities that might raise eyebrows, even within the treaty framework?
Well, there are always geopolitical undercurrents. Some analysts point to activities by countries like Russia or China, suggesting that some of their scientific research might have dual-use potential, maybe involving intelligence gathering alongside the science.
So, potential challenges or bending of the rules, perhaps, but not necessarily proof of hidden Nazi bases.
Right. It's more about modern great power competition playing out even in Antarctica, rather than confirming old conspiracy theories.
Okay, moving towards more recent claims. There have been whistleblower accounts, right? Someone claiming to have worked for Raytheon in Antarctica.
Yes, that surfaced relatively recently. An individual claiming to be a former Raytheon employee who spent time working at Antarctic facilities, including the South Pole Station. Their account includes some pretty extraordinary allegations.
We should present these objectively, just report what's being claimed, what sort of things.
The claims reportedly include the existence of directed energy weapon systems in Antarctica. Also, speculation about technology linked to the ice cube neutrino detector potentially being able to induce earthquakes.
Ice Cube, that's that huge science facility buried in the ice, right? Looking for tiny cosmic particles.
That's the one. A massive, amazing piece of scientific infrastructure. The whistleblower also mentioned, I believe, an ELF, extremely low-frequency communication system embedded deep in the ice.
Okay, these are very significant claims. Directed energy weapons, earthquake tech.
Extremely significant, and this individual apparently claims to have provided testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee.
And what was the gist of that testimony, according to these reports?
The suggestion seems to be that aspects of these technologies, and perhaps related incidents like Havana Syndrome, are either not fully understood by or are being misrepresented within parts of the government.
A potential internal cover-up, or at least a disconnect.
That seems to be the implication of the claims. There was also reportedly a claim of seeing a large black pyramid structure somewhere in Antarctica.
A black pyramid. Did they provide evidence, like photos?
According to the reports, no personal photographic evidence was presented for that specific claim, so it remains an unsubstantiated allegation within their broader testimony.
Right. So serious claims, testimony allegedly given, but involving extraordinary technologies and sites, some without direct physical proof provided publicly.
It's a complex situation, adds another modern layer to the Antarctic mystery narrative.
When you step back and look at all of this, the history, the Nazi theories, high jump, the anomalies, the treaty, the whistleblower, why Antarctica? Why does it attract so much of this kind of speculation?
I think it comes down to a few key things. Its sheer remoteness, obviously. It's the most isolated, least understood continent. For a long time, we just didn't know what was there.
Ignorance breeds mystery.
Absolutely. And even now, vast areas are buried under miles of ice. It feels like a place where secrets could be hidden. There's an inherent sense of the unknown, the potentially dangerous, the alien.
It taps into that archetype of the hidden world, maybe.
I think so. And culturally, we're kind of primed for these narratives, aren't we? Government cover-ups, hidden truths. Think of shows like The X-Files, how popular that was. Antarctica fits perfectly into that kind of framework.
There's also a darker side to some of these theories, specifically the Nazi UFO connection.
Unfortunately, yes. Some researchers have pointed out how neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups have latched onto the myths of Nazi superbases and advanced flying saucers. They twist these conspiracy theories to promote their own hateful ideologies, portraying the Nazis as having possessed secret, powerful knowledge.
So these seemingly outlandish tales can actually be weaponized for real-world hate.
Sadly, yes. It's a disturbing aspect that shouldn't be overlooked when examining the persistence of these particular myths.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from early German exploration and the seeds of the Nazi base theory through Operation High Jump's reinterpretation, the claims about physical evidence versus scientific explanations, the role of the Antarctic Treaty, and these more recent whistleblower allegations.
It's clear that Antarctica, because of what it is, remote, mysterious, historically contested in some ways, has become this incredible magnet for speculation, a canvas onto which all sorts of theories get projected.
Yeah, and the information we've looked at really presents a spectrum, doesn't it? You have documented history, scientific data explaining anomalies, geopolitical realities, and then layered on top, you have these interpretations, anecdotal claims, and outright conspiracy theories.
Definitely a mix. Sifting through it requires careful attention to evidence, context, and plausibility.
It certainly does. Well, thank you for joining this deep dive into the persistent claims about secret Antarctic bases. It leaves you thinking, doesn't it? About why we're so drawn to the idea of secrets hidden in the world's most remote places.
Makes you wonder what else might be out there, undiscovered, whether it's under the ice or just in the gaps in our knowledge.
Thanks for listening to Conspiracist.